Hello everyone and welcome back to my opinion. And South Africa won this first game by 7 wickets and take a 1-0 lead in the series. A brilliant chase from them, and looking at the 11 they fielded for this game, I thought it looked a bit light on batting, and especially in this innings, past the top 5 players who walked out. You kind of thought, if you need big runs from the rest, then who's going to be that player who could get you those big runs? And since Tristan Stubbs was making his debut, I think it would have been unfair to pin such an expectation on him for his first game. So it really was up to the top 5 to get the job done. And luckily for them, things didn't go beyond the 5th wicket. And a match-winning partnership of 131 between David Miller and Rassie van der Dussen for the 6th wicket meant that South Africa got over the line. So a brilliant chase from them. And for India, I think in terms of the batting, they got exactly what they would have wanted from this game. And they'd hoped that they could get this across the 5 games in this, or the 4 more games to go in the series. Whoever faced 10 balls or more got some kind of decent runs. Unfortunately, they would have wanted. They would have felt they could defend this total after the innings break, and unfortunately for them, they didn't. So I'll get into the intricacies of the game as I go along, but really well done to South Africa. And now this is their 6th consecutive win over India across formats. So the test matches, the ODIs, and then now in the T20s as well. And regarding the starting lines of both teams, for South Africa, since Aiden Markram wasn't available for this game, Tristan Stubbs, I presume, would have been in the side in place of him. And I don't think there's any other player in this lineup who you'd think that they would probably make way for a Markram when he returns. And for India, since KL Rahul and Kuldeep Yadav were ruled out a few days before this game was played, Rishabh Pant's now leading India in the series with Hardik Pandya as the vice-captain. And this gave an opportunity for Rudraj Gaikwad to open alongside Ishan Kishan. So Temba Bavuma won the toss and chose to field first. Regarding this venue, if you look at the stats in international cricket, it seems different. It seems a different story to what you get in an IPL game at this ground. In the IPL, the games here are usually mid to low scoring, where the services are on the slower side. And today's service is also on the slower side, but once again we saw a high scoring international T20 at this ground. And I thought the Indian openers had a bit of luck on their side, where a number of deliveries beat the bat from Rabada and Nokia. However, I thought apart from those deliveries, the bowlers didn't do, especially those two, didn't do a good job in containing the opening partnership. And was it a convincing stand overall? No. And especially Ishan Kishan was just flaying at the ball most of the time, pretty much all through the power play. But India got an advantage. They got an advantage from the very start, getting 57 runs in the first 38 deliveries on a slow surface before Gaikwad was dismissed by Wayne Parnell for 23. I actually thought, despite the fact that Rabada and Nokia did beat the bat early on, I thought Parnell could have bowled up front with a new ball to Gaikwad, since he does swing the ball up front, and Gaikwad has struggled against left-arm swing bowling especially, and maybe Parnell could have emulated the likes of Trent Bolt, who Gaikwad has struggled against in the IPL. And in the end, Parnell did dismiss Gaikwad. So I thought that had Parnell opened the bowling, there may have been a chance for this opening partnership to have been reduced compared to what it put out in the end. And there was effectively no strife for India at all during this innings, on a surface where there was quite a lot for the bowlers to work with, and the ball was moving around at the start, and there was considerable turn on offer. In the end, there was no strife for India at all. And Shreyas Iyer hit 22 runs of his first 8 balls, 3 sixes in his first 8 balls after Tabraiz Shamsi. And he did slow down after that point, but Ishan Kishan finally found some fluency in his innings, and he played some great shots, especially off the bowling of Keshav Maharaj, targeted him. And yeah, India motored along throughout this innings on a slow surface. And when they were, I think, they were on 10 over throughout the innings, you could say. And when they were on about the 100 mark or something, or so, at least 70 odd mark, I thought a similar thing to what I thought in the Punjab Kings versus Delhi Capitals game, where since Delhi got to 74 for 1 in 8 overs, considering the nature of the surface, even if they collapsed, which they did in a way, they could get around 150, which would have been which was a tricky chase. And in the end, I thought even if India did collapse, it'd get 150, 160, which would be a tough chase at this venue. And at one point, there were 156 with quite a lot of deliveries to go. And even if they got 14 runs and 24 deliveries as per the surface, 170 would have still been a tough chase had the game gone as per kind of the surface was. But I thought this game reminded me of the KKR versus LSG game, where the surface was a 160 odd surface, and in the end the bowling was so poor that it was a bit of a free-for-all in the end, where above 400 runs were scored in total. And looking at the overall score that India got, I thought they got at least 40 runs over par. And I honestly didn't expect them to lose this game after that first innings. In terms of the batting, I thought this innings was exactly what India would have wanted in terms of opportunities, or rather output from the batsmen in this lineup. Whoever faced 10 balls or more got some decent runs. And regarding Ishan Kishan's innings, he did flay around a bit at the start, and especially all through the power play. It did take a while for him to find fluency. And I've said quite a few times before that Ishan Kishan usually seems to play well when the bowling isn't really up to where it could be, and also when the surface does favour the batsman a bit. And I think he did go away in negating one of those factors where the surface was on the slower side, but he hung in there for kind of flaying around at the start. But then he found fluency towards the end, and 76 or 40, he should be really happy with this knock. And I think rather than kind of like I've said before, where he plays well usually, where, as I've said, is when the bowling isn't up to the mark, and that too when the service is more kind of caters more to the batsman. I think he should be happy with his innings, and it is something that it can provide a kind of a stepping stone to build upon. And Hardik Pandya, I think we've seen him play the anchor role a lot of the times for the Gujarat Titans this IPL season. He's had a lot of responsibility on his shoulders in the IPL this season, and he's led his team to the side. He's had to perform in all the facets of the game that he's been required to do so. And in the end, yesterday, he played an innings which you've seen on many occasions, 31 of 12, batting at number 5. And especially the shot of Anrik Nortje, I think over cover was probably the shot of the innings. So really well done to him. And like I said, whoever faced 10 balls or more got a decent bat and got some good runs as well. Regarding the bowling figures, I thought the Pacers, if you're considering the overall run rate, Rabada gave 35 in 4 overs, so I'll say the economy rate 8.75 for Rabada, 9 for Nokia, and 8 for Pano, who I thought was their best bowler. And apart from his last over, I thought he was really good in this game. But I still think, considering what this surface, you say looking at the surface, considering what you'd think was a good score, going at 8.75 or 9 over, they would have still been disappointed with that Rabada and Nokia, as outside of the deliveries that beat the bat, they still did let the openers get off the hook. They let them off the hook, I thought. So they will still be a bit disappointed with how things went, but I thought the main players who were targeted were the 2 spinners and Dwayne Pretorius, going in excess of 11 runs per over. And with 12 wides as well, it didn't help their cause. So 211 for 4 after 20 overs for India, and they were overwhelming favourites to win this game from here. The South African openers walked out to bat, and regarding Temba Bavuma on the T20 side, I've seen his domestic T20 numbers and they look better than his international ones, and he hasn't quite shown what he could do in the international T20s, and that's why I think even when South Africa had to get a lot of runs against England in the T20 World Cup and defend the score by quite a bit, he didn't bat. So since he's the ODI captain, and therefore I think if you are the ODI captain, then I think in white ball cricket the vision is kind of the same. So if you are if you're a white ball captain, you have to play ODI cricket and T20 cricket. And if he can prove his value to in the T20 side as a batsman, which he hasn't done so far in T20Is, then I think, yeah, the team would benefit quite a bit. He did it 2 nice shots in this innings. I thought especially the shot off Avesh Khan where the delivery was a good one, but the way he played it through square leg, it was a very good shot. He unfortunately got out early of 10 off 8, and South Africa lost their first wicket in the 3rd over where 22 runs were put on for the first wicket. Dwayne Pretorius walked out at number 3. Now, I thought Van der Dussen could have walked out at number 3 as he's also an intimidating batsman to bowl to. In the last year or so, especially, you think, and especially with the way that he played against India in the ODI series, in international white ball cricket, he's probably one of the most informed batsmen going around, and that's why I thought if you want to accelerate, you may as well send Van der Dussen out at that point in time. But Dwayne Pretorius did exactly what he was sent out to do, 29 of 13, and the 3 sixes and 1 over off the bowling of Hardik Pandya set off their innings, you could say. And he was dismissed in the second ball of the 6th over for 29 of 13, but he did his job in the end. And the score was 61 for 2 at this point in time. There was a bit of a lull after this point. I think 20 runs were scored in the next 3.2 overs. And the wicket of Quinton de Kock in the 9th over was vital because, yes, he wasn't going too quickly in this innings, you could say. I think he was just starting to... It wasn't the easiest pitch to bat on as such. And he was on 22 of 17 before he was dismissed. And I think something we've seen him do a lot of the time is provide the spine to an innings. And when you say anchoring the innings, he does that at a strike of 140 to 150. Meaning that even if he bats through the whole innings, he doesn't lose his side the game. And I thought he would have done one or two things. One, he could go on and outright win the game for his side, or two, does what he does a lot of the time, which is provide the spine to an innings. And had he provided the spine to an innings, in this case, maybe scoring an 81 or 54, that kind of a knock. And then you've got either Van der Dussen or David Miller to provide the cutting edge and get South Africa over the line. I thought that he would be an integral wicket in this chase, and since they got him for 22 of 18, it was a huge wicket for India at this point in time. It's a precarious point for South Africa at this point in time, and in the first 31 deliveries of Van der Dussen's innings, he only scored 30 runs, and it was all on David Miller at the start to ensure that they could keep up with the net run rate. And I think the drop catch of Van der Dussen, the drop catch dropping Van der Dussen on 30, Shreyas dropped the catch, and that pretty much turned his innings around. And I know Gavaskar did say this tongue-in-cheek, I think, where he said, could they have kept him in? And I think everyone in the commentary box and also people watching would have known that they would have rather seen the back of Van der Dussen, because with the way that he's been going in white ball cricket over the last 1 or 2 years, he's been, as of now, he's probably one of the most informed white ball cricketers going around, especially in internationals. And you just thought the moment he got a lifeline, he would make up for the deliveries that he took up at the start. And I think in the next 15 balls, he scored 45 runs, along with David Miller going at a strike rate of 206 overall in the innings. And a partnership of 131 meant that South Africa secured a brilliant win by 7 wickets. And it was very important that they didn't lose any more wickets at an earlier stage, because with this lineup, as I said, you've got Tristan Stubbs who's making his debut. Apart from that, you haven't really got too much batting in terms of trying to chase down a 200 total. Wayne Parnell can hit a long ball, but you'd be expecting the first 5 players who batted in this innings to get them over the line, and they did that. So really well done from South Africa. And for India, a disappointing loss. And I think regarding the bowling figures, Avesh Khan, with how he started off, I thought he recovered quite well. None for 35 in his 4. Bhuvneshwar Kumar's first 2 overs were really good, but unfortunately gave a lot of runs in his last 2. Harshal Patel gave 43 runs in his 4 overs, and Akshar Patel 40 runs in his 4. And I think there were 2 players who could have been utilised more. Yuzvendra Chahal only bowled 2.1 overs, and the third over that he bowled, one ball of the third over, was when they needed 4 off 6 in the last over. When they were 81 for 3, maybe Chahal could have bowled early on to David Miller, as he plays wrist spin well when he's into his innings. But maybe they could have tried to bowl Chahal. But maybe they could have bowled Chahal at the start of his innings, at the moment he walked out to bat. And I don't think Hardik Pandya would have given too many more 18-run overs in this game. He gave 18 runs in the first over, yes, but we've seen in the IPL that, and we've seen whenever he has bowled quite a lot of the time, that I think he's one of the best, if not the best, middle-over enforcers in white ball cricket. And on the slow surface, where I think that if he hits a length, at times I thought with both sides, hitting a length meant that the ball did sit up for the batsman to hit. But I do think that Hardik Pandya could have been useful and bowled more than the one over that he did. So there were those kind of things that could have been done, I thought. And in terms of the captaincy, look, since KL Rahul was injured, Rishabh Pant was named as a captain for the series. Regarding both of those, would you regard them to, at this point in time, be great captains? No, you wouldn't. And I think the only reason why Hardik Pandya was named as a vice captain rather than a captain was because of the whole injury cloud. In terms of who's actually going to start in let's say in an 11 in the T20 World Cup, if you're looking at someone who doesn't get injured too often, and also someone who warrants a starting spot in the 11, then Rishabh Pant does fit those categories, and he's also led the Delhi Capitals in the IPL. So I think that they just chose a captain in terms of who would be available most of the time, and would also warrant a starting 11, a place in the starting 11. But yeah, of course, Hardik Pandya as a captain would, you could say, be much better than KL Rahul and Rishabh Pant. And let's see what happens in the next few games. And I think I'll see where the next game is. The next game is in Cuttack. I don't exactly know how that ground would play out. I do think it is a batting wicket off the top of my head, but I'm not so sure. So let's see how that game plays out. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, please share this video with your friends, and remember, this is my opinion, what's yours?